Well, good afternoon. It is Tuesday, January 27th. We are here at the Hellshalfacre Lava Flow Trail. It is located in the rest area between Blackfoot and Idaho Falls. We're on the southbound side. There's a trail on the northbound side as well. We had plans today to go up to a town called Driggs, Idaho, north of us. They had a bunch of ice sculptures that they had a competition last weekend. We were going to go up to see that, but had a little issue with the truck this morning, so that trip didn't pan out. So here we are. I always wanted to go do this trail and film it, just I guess today's the day. Well, this is a little sign here as you start up the trail. You see the rest area is right in here, the bathrooms and everything. We're here. We're gonna, I guess, just see where this leads. It's all paved so far. Dogs are supposed to be on a leash, so so hopefully with it being winter like that, we're not going to run into anybody, and Suki and Storm can go out and do a little exploring. That big old lava ridge. And the path is one way. So that makes it nice. Looks like we got a few strategically placed little picnic areas. Well, they do have a few information placards, I guess, but you know, all this is right. It gets hot here in the summer. And in most normal years, we are 20 to 30 below. It kind of tells you right where we're at. And all this lava through here, this here is Morgan's pasture. That's where we went out and did some archery shooting. But that northern section I talked about on that one is where the source of all this lava is from. And that is some really rough and broken country. It's like the lava, it's about 2,000 degrees. That would be a heck of a thing to witness, wouldn't it? Well, this tells you a little bit more of how this lava was formed. Pahoehoe is the name of it. Now the skin cooled first as it flowed across. As you can see, all these little ropey things, it's kind of like waves. The hot lava pushing up against the cooler lava in front of it, making them little ripple effects. Well, this kind of gives us a little more information on them big old pits and caves and everything else out here. Basically, the lava just drained beneath the cooling crust, leaving these unstable tunnels and big pits. And some of these great big old rifts or cracks out here will have ferns growing in the bottom of them. Pretty interesting. Rock sword fern. So, and yeah, the bobcats, mountain lions, they like this country. Well, so far this is an excellent trail. It is ADA accessible. Getting a little overgrown on the sides by the sagebrush, but let's see what this little sign here tells us about the place. So all these little lichens that we like seeing on the rocks, the orange and the green, that's actually what breaks down the lava rock into soil. The lichens produce water and salts to break all this rock down into particles. Remember them little holes with the bobcats in it? That's a perfect example of what you're looking at for a nice little home for a critter. Holy heck, that there is probably the largest juniper tree I have seen out here. I have no idea how old that tree is. Jeez. That's probably 3 foot in diameter, I bet. All them little purple berries on the ground, those are basically these junipers, pine cones. And for those that enjoy gin, that's one of the ingredients in it, those little purple juniper berries. Where that juniper once grew right there, see that big old mound of soil around it? That's basically made up of probably hundreds of years of juniper berries falling to the ground. Now that I can get up close to one, you can see what they actually look like. Look at them all on the ground. Well, we've reached the little junction of the trails. It's basically saying that long loop is recommended for foot traffic only. Since that's the way I'm going, I'll let you know for sure. This one's going to be kind of hard to read, as that juniper brush is falling down over it. That's basically kind of telling you how slow these trees grow and how good a firewood they are. I'll tell a little bit more about that when we find a spot to rest. Well, just off the trail is one of them little lava tubes or little caves. Or kind of see how these things are made. That one's got a little tube going way down in there out of there. You can see all this sand right here and how smoothly this is worn out. If you look close, there's some little rabbit tracks in there. These things make some awesome shelters for all kinds of little animals. But that cave goes way back in there. I don't know how deep that goes. I can't, it's too dark to really see in there. Interesting stuff though. Oh, those two. Just always on the go. Go, go, go with them. Well, this basically tells you about the clothing the Indians made out of the sagebrush, like I talked about last week. How important the sagebrush is to food and nesting habitat of the sage grouse, and the medicinal properties of it. Plus, it just smells really, really good. Well, you can see that stump right there. There's another one right down there. As soon as I find another little bench, I'll talk about that. I did have to go very dang far. Yeah, try one of these little juniper berries. They are very pungent. But anyways, those stumps, I know when my father's family kind of settled into this area, they were some of the first into it. a lot of the people of this area would bring their horses and teams out across these rocks and cut down these cedar trees for firewood. Now, how they did that through this country is beyond me, but they got them in here. I found some of them stumps way, way back into that rough stuff. So I'm sure their firewood cutting forays, some of them lasted for days out here. Yeah, it's some interesting country. You know, that's the only wood you could really burn out here then. There's only so many cottonwoods along the river, and but it was some wild country back then. They had some or I've read their stories in some diaries and stuff of, you know, the Indians still at that time weren't all that peaceful with them, but they feared the wild cattle more. So yeah, that's the thing they didn't like, was going out with the wild bulls and stuff that were here. They just charge you and stomp you to death. So there's a lot of history in this country. That old Suki up there exploring that big old rift up there. I have to keep my eye on them with their leashes dragging like that, because it does get stuck underneath these lavas. You know, it'll be wrapped around the lava rock and they can't go any further. Come on, Suksu. Yeah, she just about got hung up right there. Yeah, looks like we got a downhill side coming up. Looks like it's passing through one of them big old cracks. Now that tree is just interesting as can be. You can see by that big old stump on it where it broke off, and then that new growth took off up on the top of it. Yeah, this little placard basically tells you about the basalt out here and how many different shapes and textures there are of it. These big old cracks out here, I guess, just all were caused by the cooling of the surface. It just cracked off, but kind of interesting there. You can see the patterns all flowing different directions. That snow kind of helps show that on them. But yeah, not caused by a volcano. It was all just a big fissure in the ground that all the magma came out and flowed across the country. There's a big crack there. That one would swallow you up. I mean, that's what I mean. How do you get a wagon and team across this? I don't know how they did it. Storm! Storm! Come on! Storm! Come on, Storm! Well, way over there on top of that hill, Storm's just sitting there. She won't come any further. Try to approach her, she takes off going the other way. I don't know what's going on with her. I'll have to see if I can convince her to get her little butt over here. Well, it looks like we reached the halfway mark on the trail. Or at least I assume so with that gazebo there. Let's go up, see what it has to offer to see. Well, up in that gazebo, holy heck is it echo in here. You can see the big buttes. I don't know if you can see them out there in the distance or not, but it's basically saying that this Hellshalfacre is just a baby. That big southern butte, which is the youngest, is 300,000 years old. In the middle and the east butte are 600,000. Says they are not the remnants of volcanoes, which I assume they were. It's just basically a rhyolite that, with all that force, pushed up through the basalt and made the big butte. Says middle butte, that middle dark one there. The big butte's over this way. And you can't really see it, but that's middle and that's east. Middle butte's just a big block of basalt, just uplifted by the volcanic pressure below. And over here on the other side, it's just a placard of all their mountains out there. And it talks about the Snake River Plain. It's really 50 to 70 miles wide and 350 miles long. And basically it's just a path of Earth's crust going over that heat source that's making up Yellowstone right now. It's also said many layers of lava flows across this plain is over a mile thick in places. And over there's Mount Putman, and then Yandell Mountain, Garden Peak, these are all the Blackfoot Mountains. And that one over there is Taylor Mountain. See a long ways out of this little gazebo. Yeah, big old crack down there with them big caves. That one down there that's big. I bet you could stand up in it. Now, according to these signs, these cedar trees down the bottom of this big old hole are 400 years old. It's quite the survivor. Now there's a better look at that cave. That big old cedar tree right there, I bet 80% of its roots are out of the ground. It's still growing. On the northbound lane, there's a crack alongside the interstate there. And when it gets cold, it will steam. I wonder how many people have gone by that and thought we were going to have another eruption out here. Yeah, while we're sitting here taking this break, many years ago, when we were hunting deer out here, you know, sometimes we get some of that October weather that's really hot. That was one of them days we got out here on the rocks and was chasing a buck around through here, and you know, of course, it evaded us. It's pretty hard to track deer on this lava. But we were going to try to make it to that rest area to get a drink. And I come out just right over there. There's a pothole. I climbed out of that and come this way, and and as I was coming this way, there was a woman sitting here on this bench reading. She looked up, and I swear her eyes were that big around. That scared the heck out of her. Kind of startled me as well, but just one of them little memories you have out here. Tomorrow, though, is gonna, I guess, have a chance of snow, and then it gets in the 40s. But of course, then you got partly cloudy and probably some gusty winds. So I brought the drone. Let's send it up and see what we see here. And here they both come. They must be telling me they've had enough of this trip. Yeah, you got a little bit of sound from the interstate, but it's not too bad out here. Some really interesting country, though. Well, this place can be pretty cruel. It could kill you with the wrong step. It could freeze you to death in the winter and bake you in the summer. But it is just about like everywhere. Use some common sense, you'll be fine in it. Well, this is the last placard. And then the trail goes down to the rest area, but if you need to obtain more information, contact the BLM, the Eastern Idaho Visitors Information Center in Idaho Falls. Now this side is a little bit steeper than the other side, so I think it can still be done though in a wheelchair. Just use the brakes. Or be a daredevil and just come down it as fast as you can go. Well, there's the rest area. It does have an observation deck up on top. But yeah, if you're coming through Blackfoot, stop and get you a sandwich and come out and have a picnic and explore the trail. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, comment and share. And until next time, see you later.